girl, you were looking at Universal. Okay, so on Thursday, what was the formula that we talked about? Does anybody remember? Okay, look back at your, okay, instead of y'all looking at the answers, pause. Say it again. Okay, so we had this formula. Okay, what else did we have? What other formula did we have?
How much you have to pay, how much you make on every.
Okay. Okay. So how much would this be? If I make 109,992 a year, how much am I gonna make a month? I heard numbers. 9,000. Okay, so I make $9,166 in a month. Okay. The 25% rule. Yes. This is 110 workbook. Yes, no? What you mean, no? Not crazy?
No, you're not going crazy, I promise.
That's 110. Somebody help. Okay. So if I make this much, I want to figure out how much my monthly payment is going to be, right? If it was 25%, if it was 25% of my monthly income. So I'm going to set this equal to 25. Okay. Now, do you have to do algebra? Yes, if you want to do it by hand, or, because I'm answering your question, going into Desmos. Okay, so when we zoom out and we solve, pause, take out the 25. There we go. I was like, that's not right. Then that means we've got $2,291.50, correct? Okay. Now, if we wanted to do it for 30, we would come in here, and the only thing we would change is instead of it being 25, we would change it to 30. And that would be 2,749.8 or $2,750. Okay, what does this actually ask? Like, what is this? What is this? What did we find? The range of what?
25 and 30%.
Of what?
Monetary.
Why do we want to keep it between 25 and 30%? No. Say it again. Okay, so if it's like, let's say that you instead wanted to spend 50% of your paycheck on whatever house you were doing, right? So that would be 4,583. What are we not including on this? We're not including property tax. We're not including how much our car is. How much do you spend when you eat each month? Do you know? Let's say that each meal a week is $10. Okay, how many meals a day do you eat?
3.
Okay, roughly 3, right? How many days are there in a week? Okay. And then how many days are or how many weeks are in a month? You spend almost $840 if you are only at $10. Now, I don't know about y'all, but if you went to Chick-fil-A, you'd be spending what? 12 to 15, depending on what you're getting. If you're at Zaxby's, you're spending about 12 to 15, depending on what you get. So depending on how you're eating, that's also impacted. So it could be above or it could be below. If you're eating ramen every night, then you're not spending $840, right? Things to think about. We just said if we were spending half of our paycheck on our house payment, that would be 4,000. Okay. Plus our eating expenses. Let's just say our gas is what? $300 a month? Okay. Let's say that our car insurance is another $300. Our car payment is $400. And what else do we have? Utilities. We got utilities. We got Netflix. Okay. All right. What else? Okay. You probably want to go out and hang out with your friends or go shopping, right? Let's do a $600 tab on that. All right. Well, I mean, think about it. Like, okay. So by the time you finish all of that, you really don't have that much money left. Again, this is not including or factoring in if you have any medical expenses. This is not including your health insurance. You don't want to spend 50% of your income. Does that make sense? Okay. All right, cool. I'll get off my little ladder. All right, so you should have had between $2,292 and $2,750. It said round to the nearest dollar. It said round to the nearest dollar. Okay. So you would set it up the same way for the next one, and you would get 1,250 to 1,500. Okay. All right. On number 3, it says Adina makes $53,112 per year and is looking to find a new apartment rental in her city. She searched online and found an apartment for $1,500 per month. Recommendation in her budget is between 25 to 30%. Can she afford this apartment? So all you're going to do is you're going to sit there and you're going to calculate the 25 to 30%. Here's her interval. Okay. And she's trying to spend $1,500. Is $1,500 in between this interval? Then she can't afford that apartment. They probably won't approve her for, like, if she was having to take out a loan for it or anything like that. No, not necessarily. Some people do, though. Yes. So if I wanted to find 25 to 30% of your monthly income, here is my yearly income. I got to break it down to months. So if I take 53,112 and I divide it by 12, what do I get? 4,000 what? Okay. So this is my monthly income. What I want to find is what's 25% of my monthly income. So I'm going to set up an equation where I have X divided by 4,426 times 100, and I'm going to set that equal to 25. Okay, I'm going to plug that into my calculator, and that's going to give me my X value. I'm going to do the same thing, except this time I'm going to do 30, and I'm going to plug it into my calculator. Is $2,950. He pays 22% of his monthly gross earnings in federal and state taxes and spends 10% of that monthly income to pay off his credit card. So really quick, we have 2,950. What's 22% of that? $2,950 times 0.22. That's $649 that he spends in federal. Okay. If we want to find 2,950 times 0.1, because he says that 10% comes to his credit card, we're going to type 2,950 times 0.1, and that's going to give us $295. Brian is also paying off a loan his parents gave him for a new car by sending them 8% of his income per month. So 2,950 times 0.08. So 2,950 times 0.08. God, what is? That's 236. Brian found an apartment near his work that rents $1,300 a month. Will he be able to make payments without changing the amounts he pays towards his loan? So we found each loan. We're going to subtract it from how much he makes. So this is gonna be 2,950 minus 649 minus 295 minus 236. 2950 minus 649 minus 295 minus 236. And that would give him 1,770. His apartment is $1,300. So if we subtract $1,300, we're gonna get 1,470. I'm sorry, 470. Ooh, too many. So is that really a good idea? Probs not. Like I said, if you were at $10 a meal for an entire month, you're spending $840, right? So homeboy gonna be eating ramen and hopefully not needing health insurance. Okay. On number 7, it says the square footage and monthly rental of 10 similar one-bedroom apartments yield the linear regression, this, where X represents the number of square feet and Y represents the monthly rental price. Grace can afford $1,500 per month. How big is the apartment that she could afford? So the way you do this is you take the equation. What did it say Y was in the equation? Okay, so if Y is the monthly rental price, and that's what they told us, and they want us to find X, which is the square footage, all we're going to do is take $1,500 and set it equal to our equation and look at where X crosses the X-axis. That's it. When you do it, you're going to get 709 square feet. And this, if you will read the problem, it tells you where to put the numbers. Yes? Okay, so X is the number of square foot. Y represents the monthly rate. Okay, so determine the monthly rent with 1,200 square feet. So where are we putting 1,200? For X. What on number, I'm sorry, you plug in X, and then you're going to get 2,459. Determine the square footage of an apartment with a monthly rent of 1,900. So we're going to put 1,900 in for Y, and then plug it in, solve for X. Yes, and that would give us 786 square feet. Okay, so like I told Grant a second ago, you don't have half a square foot. Like they don't include that when they're talking about it. So you might want to round it just a little bit. Okay, everybody good? All right. Let's go ahead and skip to our notes because I think that's important. There we go. Okay, go ahead and take out your notes. I think we got to this one. Tell me where we stopped. Because I know both of my classes are on different parts. I think it's the graph, right?
Before the graph. Number 10.
That's a 10? Okay. It's just been a couple of days. All right, so how much money have you paid to the lending institution at the end of a 5-month period represented by the table? Well, remember, we're doing $2,000 each month for 5 months. And that's going to be 1,000. I'm so sorry. Yeah, you know? Okay, so in this question, back up. In this question, we were comparing scenario 1 to scenario 2. Remember, scenario 1, we were just making our monthly payments. On scenario 2, we were making a $200 extra payment. So we're going to take 200 and multiply it times 5. There's the 1,000. Okay. Now, how much less do you owe in remaining principal? So if we look back at scenario 1, on scenario 1, we had a remaining principal, scenario 1, we had a remaining principal balance of $299,368. 0.48. In scenario 2, okay, in scenario 2, we had 298,000. Who are you looking for? Hey, Josiah. Thanks, babe. Okay, we had 298,356.74. You want to find the difference between those two. You want to find the difference between those two. When we find that, that's going to be $1,011.74. And also it impacts your interest rate. It drops your interest rate. Your interest rate's not killing you every single time, right? So if you can make an extra monthly payment, it really benefits you in the long run. It can take you from a 30-year loan to a 15-year loan. That means you own your house at that 15-year mark. Does that make sense? Okay. All right, ready? Let's go ahead and do the next part. So again, paying extra towards the principal each month. Guys, y'all gotta stop. Reduces the amount of interest owed in subsequent months. Owing less interest each month results in a compounding effect whereby more principal is paid each month and the amount of total interest paid during the loan term will decrease substantially. Okay, so here are your graphs for a 30-year loan. Okay, so the graph provided on the left applies to scenario 1, and the graph on the right represents scenario 2. Okay, Javari, come here, babe. All right. Use the graph to answer the questions below. Okay. So looking at it, I know yours isn't color coded. Okay, so look at the one on the board. So your total paid is in the black. Okay, blue is your principal balance. That is decreasing as you're going along. Your total interest paid is increasing just a little bit. Okay, it's not growing as fast as your total paid. How much less total interest will be paid if you make $200 extra principal payment every month? Okay, so let's look at it. Where does this guy end? Okay, so we have 419,384.02. And over here, we have 302,670.11. I want you to subtract those two. Tell me what you get. I'm gonna fight for y'all's attention. I don't like it. Like, I'll give you the quiz now. Done. No. 116,713.91, right? Okay. Just from making those $200 payments, those extra $200 payments, this is how much money we save. It's like 2 Hellcats. Boom. But not too perk up. Okay. All right. This one goes down for number 12. Okay. So making the extra $200 payments each month reduces the total amount of time needed to pay off the loan by how many months? So let's take a look at this. So looking at number 13, look at the total months. So this is, it hits 360 months. With this guy, we finish at 275 months. So for number 13, we took 360 minus 275, and that gets us 85 months off. Okay, so here it is again. I looked at my graph. When I finished paying, this is a 360-month loan. By the time I finish these payments, I finish at 275 months. Okay, so I'm losing you. Do it again. 30 years. Yep. Okay, so 30 months. I'm sorry, 30 years. How many months are in a year? Okay, so do 12 times 30 years. Okay, so that's what a normal loan would be. I'm paying it off early and I'm ending it at 275 because I'm making those extra payments. Okay, so I saved myself 85 months. How many years is that? Take 85 divided by 12. Okay, roughly 7 years. I took 7 years off my loan by just making a $200 payment extra a month. I saved $116,000. I mean, it's not going to be substantial. I mean, it might save you 2 years, maybe. Right. You want to make bigger down payment and you want to make an extra monthly payment if you're able. Okay. Good. Okay. All right. So number 14, the total paid in scenario 1 is what % greater than the total paid in scenario 2? Okay. Y'all struggle with these percentages things, right? Okay. So we have, look at how much was paid in total on the first one. So you're looking at the black line. What number did it get up to? Look at your paper. Okay, 720,000. We're going to subtract how much it got up to on the second one. Yes, it is the new minus old divided by old. Okay. I don't know why this person multiplied by 11. It's not. No. Again, I did not write that answer key. All right, so when you do this, again, they're asking how much greater is the total % paid in scenario 1 versus scenario 2? We obviously see in scenario 2, it's cheaper, right? Okay, so that's going to be the old. The new is the more expensive one. Okay, when we do that, it's going to give you 19.35%. Okay, it saves you 19% by doing those $200 payments. Okay, why do you think changes in parameters in mortgage loans have such a significant effect on other parameters and calculations?
Put that into like.
So instead of, okay, we know that when we make our monthly payment, the monthly payment is made up of your interest and your principal deduction. Remember, we pay $2,000 a month. Some of it goes to interest, some of it goes to the principal balance. Okay, when we make that $200 extra payment, it goes directly to your principal balance. Right. So since we have the extra payment, going directly to the principal, it reduces the interest. Okay, so remember how when we were calculating the interest, it would drop down after a certain point, right? Like we hit like a certain point and it was like, oh, dramatic difference. So the more that we reduce the principal balance, the less interest we have, which means that the principal balance is being paid off more. Makes it cheaper for us. We own the house quicker. Okay. When we own the house, the next time that we sell it, anything that we sell it for, we get to keep all of that money. That's why you want to knock it out and actually own the house. When you own the house and the next time that you sell it, You can keep all that money. Yes? Okay. Whew. We're not. Okay. This is my least favorite part because it's like, okay, we've finally figured out how much the mortgage payment's going to be, but now we've got to figure out utilities. Okay. So whether you choose to rent or own your home, you most likely be responsible for paying utility bills each month. The cost of your utilities can vary widely based on such things as where you live, the size of your home, the number of people in your household, how many utilities you use. Okay. The average monthly cost of utilities can be hundreds of dollars each month. Okay. I will be transparent. So I live in Snellville. Okay. And I'm on a sewer. I'm not actually on like, so your parents either have a septic system or they're on the sewer or you're on a well. Okay. So those are the different places. It depends on where your water is coming from. Okay. Well, okay. So the septic system, that means that if it gets backed up, the septic system, they have to dig up and pump it out. Yeah. Y'all seen those before? Yes. Okay. That's bad. It makes your house smell. And then it's just a bad thing. I will never have to do that because I'm on a sewer system. Okay. So with that being said, it's $1 in and $1 out. So anytime that I spend a gallon of water, it's $1 in. Anytime that I, run water down the sink, that's $1 out. So I still have to spend money for that. It's a little more expensive, but I won't have problems as somebody with septic. I have to spend $40 a month on water. Okay. Now, if I go over the allowance, then it's going to obviously be more. Okay. So like when my little brother was living with me during COVID, it was a little more because there was 2 people in the house. Okay. Your water, if you're on a septic system, it's probably cheaper, but you're still probably paying about 20 to 40 bucks. Okay. Depending on how many people are living at your house. Electric bill. This varies from month to month. Okay. In the month of July and August and December, it is the most expensive. Okay. For right now, I spend $200 a month on electric. One person. Okay. It's about $50 to $75 per person. So for instance, my parents who live down the road, they have a $500 to $600 electric bill. They also have 5 people living at the house. Okay. All right. Another thing is gas. I still don't know what I use this for, but I have to have gas coming into my house. I don't know why. I don't use it for anything, but I have an electric stove. Like, what is it? Now, some people have a gas water heater. Okay, so that's part of it, but I have an electric water heater. I don't know where this thing is going, but it's about $40 to $60 a month. No, microwave is electric. Okay, so I don't know. All right, internet. Internet is the worst thing on the face of this planet. Here's why. Because every time that you get in on a deal, every year, they reset it and then they upcharge it. For instance, I got in at $80 per month. After a year, it went up to $120. Then I have to call them and I have to say, what's your next best deal? And then get in on a contract for a year. They won't let you do it for like 5 years. Hold on, let me mute. Huh? Yeah. So you could spend a ton of money. Cable and streaming services. Netflix is about $20 a month, right?
Unnecessary.
Yeah. What about Disney Plus?
Yes.
They just priced it. Okay.
What?
Listen, my little brother got in trouble with the FBI because he was like pirating music and like DVDs and like that kind of stuff. Right. So he gets like this letter in the mail from the FBI and they were like, if you don't stop, we're gonna take you to jail. He was like 12. I was like, yes, take him to jail. Yeah, it was terrible. It's fine. Okay. So I will say though, cable has gotten really expensive. Like my dad spends like $250 for like all the different channels. Okay. Yeah, my parents spend a ton of money and it's fine. Okay. What are some ways you could save on utilities?
No, you don't. Live like a cave.
Listen, you live one day without AC. Ain't no way. Okay, so what are some ways to cut this back? Okay, so turn off lights when you leave. Okay. Maybe go to a streaming service versus cable. Like I don't have cable at my house. I just do I'm a bum off of my dad for Netflix. I just got rid of my Disney Plus because I was like, there's nothing on here I need. So it's okay. What else?
Preserving water.
Preserve water. Okay. Like when you're brushing your teeth, you shouldn't just let the water run for like 30 seconds. I mean, it's a little bit, but any other ideas?
I was gonna say, water showers.
Okay. Shorter showers. Well, I don't know about y'all, but sometimes I get in there and then I start singing and then like, you know, and then it's like I am Beyonce. It's fine. It's fine. Actually, I'm a terrible singer and it's okay. I've embraced it.
Who's better, Beyonce or what? Good question.
Entertainer wise, or I'm gonna say the unpopular opinion. I think Rihanna. Yeah. Yeah. See, no, she's not. She is. Yeah. I don't know. Beyonce has a soft spot in my heart. No, thank you. Okay, so really quick, I want you to add up this utility bill. Okay. Check his work. How much?
107.37.
Okay, so hear me out. Let's say that your mortgage is $1,300. Okay. Let's say your mortgage is $1,300. You are spending 1807.37. Let's say that you are only making $4,000 a month. Okay. That's like half your paycheck going to bills. That's not including your gas. Okay. Life is expensive. Yeah. It's like you have to make a certain percentage of your income. So my little brother is renting a house. Yeah. So I asked my little brother why he was wanting to rent a house versus living in an apartment complex, and he's got a Doberman, and apparently, like the people below him have been making noise complaints about his Doberman because she like scratches the floor.
He said, oh,
That's what I said. So he's no longer living there anymore. So, which is great. It's fine. Because he was spending. He's not gonna like me putting that on there. Okay. Some utilities are also calculated by a set price per unit used. For example, a sample natural gas bill, what is it used for? Is shown below. Okay. So really quick, you've got base charge, and then you have a customer service charge, and then you have a sales tax. And here's the total charges. So really quick, how you would calculate this, okay? We do it in 30-day increments. So every 30 days, they give you a bill, okay? You used this much, okay? Price per therm, I'm sorry, you used this much. Price per therm is 0.79. So it's 79 cents every therm. I don't know how that's actually. I think it's just the unit of measurement for like gas.
oh,
Yeah.
oh.
Okay. So you're going to take this, multiply it by the therms, add up all the rest of these charges that are silly, and then you get $51.18. Like I said, it's about 40 to 60 bucks. I don't know where it goes in my house though, but that's okay. Yeah, it's fine. Well, I have to have it though. Like I have to have it.
Say $5 just for somebody that does.
Now I do know that like if I turn on my God, what is it called? Fireplace. My fireplace is gas.
So that's what it goes for.
I don't turn it on. So you're telling me that there's gas leaking in my house?
Still fine. Because your house-
No, because it's done based off of how much is used. I haven't used any. It's okay, I'm moving. It's fine. So you notice that a portion of the bill, the gas charge, is determined by the amount of gas used over the billing cycle multiplied by the price per therm. Show the calculation to verify the gas charge. So again, you're putting this down here, okay? We're gonna say 52.78 times 0.79. Okay. I'm like highly upset. I can't figure out why. Like how I'm using gas at my house. It's fine. I'm like kind of upset. I need to call, but I've been there like 5 years now, so like don't matter.
Aren't you like the solar?
Yeah. Yeah, so who cares?
Then my person's probably
Not my fault. All right. Once you find that, then you're gonna add the $4.99. You're gonna add the $1.15. You're gonna add the $3.34. Yes, baby. Yep, go ahead. Hey, take the pass with you. Or okay. So that's gonna give us 51.18. Okay. Now, one of the good things about utilities is they always show you how much is being used. For instance, the other day, I had a leak in my toilet. Okay. And the water was just running. Okay. When I got my water bill, I noticed that it was substantially high. Okay. Like it was $78, which, like, again, I told you that I have to use or I have to pay $40. And I've never had anything over $40. So I know that there's a leak in my toilet. So I go to my toilet, I fix it. Now I don't have a leak. So it's really nice to see how much is being used, but you also wait 30 days. So if it's a really bad thing, it's probably hasn't been that long. It's only been like I noticed it and I was like, oh, okay. And I turned it off. I mean, it worked out, but it's nice because you can see your usage. You can also dispute that too. Like if there is a leak that is near the road and it's coming into your house, then that's not your fault. They'll charge you, but you have to dispute that. Okay. Not quite. Good try though. Okay. All right, we're almost done. Other utilities are calculated using the idea of the greatest integer. To determine a payment, the greatest integer function takes quantities and rounds them down to the function, and it's also called a step function. We have already seen these kind of as piecewise functions. Okay. So explain using words and a number line how to determine 3.72 and negative 4.3. Explain using words how to determine 3.72. Okay. So looking at our graph, let me see if I can blow this up a little bit more. Okay. We want to look at 3.72. 3.72. That's like right in here. So what is the amount for that one? What is that amount? 3. Okay. So 3.72 would be 3. Okay. And negative 4.3 I mean, it doesn't have the thing. It should be like down. It should be negative 5. Okay. This is just showing a graph. This is not like what a utility bill, like there's no negatives in a utility bill. Okay. You can see some other examples over here. Okay. So at negative 2.73, it would be negative 3. At negative 5.101, it would be negative 6. Okay, so it's kind of like if you're in between these two functions or these two numbers, then you fall into this range. Y'all have seen this before. Nothing too crazy. I don't understand why that says using a number line. Don't worry about that. Would you call the graph continuous or discontinuous? Is it a straight line? Do you have to pick up your pencil to draw it? Yes, so it's discontinuous. And the way that I always remember discontinuous is if I have to pick up pencil to draw it. So if I were to draw the function, I have to draw these lines where I have to pick up my pencil physically. I can't just go from one point to another. Okay, so for domain, yeah, we're gonna say all real numbers. Not a fan. Okay.
Every time?
Not every time, but on this one, all real numbers. Sometimes I'll have like a limit, like can't obviously you aren't gonna have like a negative number, right? What about the range? False. Bottom to the top, but it's whole numbers, right? Okay, so we're gonna say no, we're gonna say from negative infinity to positive infinity, but only including the integers or whole numbers. Okay, I'm just throwing some math notation at you. This is called an epsilon. This is called an epsilon, okay? No. This is in set notation, okay? Nothing crazy. Okay, I'm not gonna ask this question. They're not. So from negative infinity to positive infinity, where you're only looking at integers. So it's gonna be -1, -2, -3, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. You're not gonna have anything with a decimal. Okay, some utility companies like electricity, gas, and water set up a scale for charges based on different levels of usage. Customer charges are one rate for low usage and then charge the higher amount as they use more of the service. An example of water rates in Metro Atlanta are listed below. Okay. So use the chart to explain how a customer's water charge for a month would be $41.46 if he was charged 9,000 gallons of water. Okay, so if they were charged 9,000 gallons of water, where would they fall? Okay, so we're gonna fall in here. Okay, so they're charged $3.38 per first 3,000 gallons. Okay, so 3 times 3.38 plus they're charged $5.22. If we already used the 3,000 in that first tier, how many do we have left? We had 6, so we would do times 6. And that would give us $41.46. This reminds me of like the little tax bracket thing that we did in chapter 2. So we use up to whatever this limit is. We're still in tier 1. And then we look at tier 2. So we're charged differently for the rest. Does that make sense? And that's a little tricky. Okay, so looking at number 10, how much would a customer be charged for using 21,000 gallons per month? So where would they fall? Okay, so they're on tier 3. So for the first 3,000 gallons, we're charged $3.38. So we're going to do 3 times 3.38 plus, how much is in between here? The 4,000 to 15,000. 4,000 to 15,000. How much is in here? What's 15 minus 4? Okay, So plus 11 times 522. Okay, and we want 21,000 gallons. So 21 minus 16 gives me what? Okay, and we're going to multiply that by 6.49. Take a moment, go ahead and type that into your calculator. Everybody else get that? 100.01. Okay. Now, I do want to be clear. 21,000 gallons of water. What does that even look like? Yep. Good answer. Okay. Almost a swimming pool. Okay. A little less than a swimming pool. Maybe a backyard pool, like one of those like out of the ground type pools. Okay. Maybe not a neighborhood pool, but still a ton of water. Okay. You would have to have like a ton of people living at your house to spend that much water. Okay. Yeah. Nah, it's not that much. Nah, you'll be fine. Okay. All right. So realistically, do you think the customers use exactly 21,000 gallons of water? No, but they round it. They get to the closest amount. Okay. And they normally round up. Nope, they normally round up. Okay, so the company rounds to the nearest gallon of a water. Oh, I'm sorry, 1,000 gallons. Okay, so if you spend 20,434, you're still going to be round up to that 21,000. Okay, cool. Questions on that?